Word. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Nigerian in Diaspora Organization, America's NIDO Radio. And we have a VVIP guest today, very special
Absolutely.
one. His name is Joseph Orji. I'm sure you know that last name is a very prominent last name. He is streaming in all the way from Nigeria, the giants of Africa. You know, I got my green today
Absolutely.
representing
Yes, you are.
show, and I have my co-host, Mr. Collins Ikego Onu. Over to you, sir.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, we do have a really VVIP and
Yes.
also somebody that used to live in diaspora. And I believe he still has some strong connections with diaspora, but now he decided to move back home and be able to share his wonderful knowledge and ideas on how to take things to the next level. So there is a lot more to hear from, and we are more than welcome and pleased to see and also hear from Mr. Joe Orji. Thank you very much, Mr. Joe Orji, Trustcrow 360. You are more than welcome.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you guys so very much. It's a real pleasure. We've been talking for a while.
Yes.
We spoke about this, and it's really exciting to finally be part of this NIDO Radio, and also be part of Wellness and Wahala. Thank you guys for making it happen. I'm very excited to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. So,
Thank you
everyone,
very much. Thank you. We're more than pleased.
once again, I am extremely excited for our VVIP guest today. Very important. He used to be in the diaspora. Now he's back in Nigeria. So, it's very important how we bridge the gap between the diaspora and Nigeria. And he is just an awesome person for such a time as this. I have a lot of friends, both Nigerians, but a lot of African Americans who are also interested in coming back home to the motherland. And of course, Africa, Nigeria, everybody has put it on a map from Afro beats to Nollywood. So just a big kudos to you, sir. Um, we want to start off with your background because you have a wonderful, impressive background. So over to you to give us just a background of who you are and your organization that you represent. Over to you, sir.
Sure. Awesome. Thank you very much. Again, pleasure to speak with you guys. You guys are a great one-two combo, by the way. I really love
Thank you.
speaking with you guys.
Thank you.
It's like salt and spice. Whenever we have our conversations, I love the different perspectives, and I think you guys are doing a fantastic job at NIDO. I know it's not easy because you both have full-time jobs,
Yes.
and you're still running this
Exactly.
national organization. And I think what you guys are doing is awesome. Frankly, I couldn't do it to balance work and just your nonprofit work, because nobody's paying you guys to do it. You guys are doing it out of the goodness of your hearts. And frankly, you want to see the diaspora grow. You want to see Nigeria grow. So I thank you. If nobody else is thanking you guys, let me take this opportunity to thank you guys for what you're doing.
Thank
And any way
you.
we can help, please let
Thank
us
you
know.
very much. We really appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Joe Orji, actually born in Nigeria, but we left Nigeria in the late 80s. In 89, we went to Maryland actually, and lived there for most of my life. I did go to boarding school, high school, and college, actually in Massachusetts. I migrated for about 8, 9 years. But apart from that, I was in Maryland and Washington. So yeah, I grew up there, worked in DC. So I lived in the US for about 24 years, lived and worked in the US for about 24 years. Um, Also did my master's. I did my master's in Georgetown. And I worked in real estate my entire career. My educational background is finance. I have a couple degrees in finance, but my professional background is actually real estate. So worked in real estate in Washington for about a decade and came back to Nigeria, make that bold leap to come back to Nigeria in about
Yes,
2013.
sir.
And I've been here for close to 12 years. October is 12 years, which is actually insane. I came down here as a single 33-year-old, and now I've got two awesome, beautiful kids and a wife who does her very best to put up with me.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
and support me all the way. She's really awesome. So a lot has changed over the last 12 years. Built a few different businesses, We built a development business. We built luxury residential, and actually built this building that my family and I are currently living in. And after my son was born, my second child was born in 2022. I told my wife I wanted to do something different. She was like, "Here," she's
Oh,
like,
here he go.
"Here you go again. Here you go again." She's like, "I thought you were doing something different with the property development." But frankly, ironically, tech is actually what brought me back to Nigeria because when I graduated my master's, I was sitting in my apartment in DC doing research to figure out a platform to digitized titles in Nigeria. 'Cause I thought it was insane in 2013 that titles in Nigeria were still done on paper. I was like, that's absolutely insane. I was like, of course, I was bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and I was like, of course I can fix this. 12 years later, by the way, titles are still done on paper, but that's a different, we'll come there. So yeah, I was like, I was doing research, but I was like, I can't do this from DC. I need to be on ground. I need to, be here.
Mhm.
So, company gave me an offer to manage their development portfolio. That was Landmark. So, worked for them for about 6 years. So, I have some serious workaholic tendencies. So, it's very hard for me to side hustle. So, I didn't build a tech business. I worked, full time there, building their real estate portfolio and doing developments. Then I started, actually, in 2015, 2016, with a couple guys, we tried to build this platform um, to digitize titles. They moved that back. They moved like two of the guys moved to the US, so it just died right there. And then I started my property development business, Brookstone, and then we just got going. And after I finished this building, and I said, "Listen," I told my wife, Topper, I was like, "If I don't do it now, I don't think I'm ever going to do it." Because at that point, I think I was I think I was 42 at that point, I think. So I said, if I don't do it now, I don't think I'm ever going to do it. Uh, so yeah, so we started Trustcrow in 2022, October 2022. So the name is Trustcrow, stands for Trusted Escrow. So at the time, it was an escrow platform. It was an online escrow platform for buyers
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
sellers to trade to purchase real estate and to protect their respective interests. Um, and I thought that that was the most just reasonable and just basic needed function in Nigeria because, as you all know, in America, every single real estate transaction is done with escrow, right?
Yes.
$2 trillion plus a year.
Yes.
Uh,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and I was like, this is a no-brainer. Of course, this is a no-brainer. Billions are coming. Billions.
Yes.
Let's go. Let's get this thing cracking.
Amen. It's
Uh,
coming.
um, but it didn't
Amen.
come. It didn't come because there was a big. It didn't come. I'm still waiting. There was a big education gap with escrow. So we're trying to sell something that people didn't actually know what it was, right? So, so we realized there's a big educational gap. So we have to educate people what escrow is, because people are like, why am I going to trust this new company to give them my 100 million naira to buy my property? And on top of that, we're doing online escrow, not even traditional escrow. So it's like I don't know what escrow is. Okay, now I know what it is. Why should I give it to you? Okay, now I know who you guys are. And but wait, you're online. I'm not even seeing you. I want to see you. I want to see you. I want to touch you. So yeah, that was the situation. So we said, okay, we spoke to more people, did more customer surveys and so on and so forth, and we talked to them, trying to find out about their experience buying and purchasing real estate and their struggles and challenges. And there were two main themes. Um, we had about six issues, but we bucketed it down. We had two main issues. One was title. They were having heart palpitations around title. They were just completely flustered and just they were just people had a lot of scary issues around title, and they were just
Mhm.
very confused and lack of clarity. And then the second was the experience of purchasing real estate, right? It was nerve-wracking. It wasn't fun. It was stressful. Um, People didn't know who to trust. Yeah, it just
Mhm.
sucked, for lack of a better word.
Yes.
But then we knew that there were a lot of people doing like search and marketplaces and helping you buy real estate. But we knew that nobody was doing anything around title. So we said, let's start with there because it was like the biggest pain point, right? A lot of people were really just uncomfortable around that. And so we looked at it as that could be our differentiator. So we started there. So we actually built um, an online due diligence tool first, right? So we built that late last year, and then after that, we then built a marketplace around that. And
Nice.
there's probably about half a dozen marketplaces, maybe even more in Nigeria.
Yes.
So we didn't feel that Nigeria needed another marketplace. However, what we did feel was that Nigeria needed the infrastructure for buyers to be able to purchase property safely,
Mhm.
right? And our single-minded proposition was to eliminate uncertainty in your property transaction, right? So
Mhm.
as a buyer, what our single focus was to eliminate uncertainty in your property transaction. And so we did that so the way we kind of conceptualized it is, okay, if you can have a place where you can go to search for pre-vetted properties. Pre-vetted means the company has done some initial investigations on these folks to make sure that they're worthwhile sellers, worthwhile developers. They have a history of performing, not not a 2-year project becomes 10 years.
A
Like,
10-year project.
yeah, like your child was born around the time the thing started, and the guy's going to high school. You know what I mean? So we have those situations.
Yes.
So we, investigate for those, do investigation to make sure that they have the permit, and to make sure that they have some sort of title information, right? So we do. That's what we mean when we say pre-vetting. So
Mhm.
you have a portal where you can find pre-vetted properties. In addition to that, those properties are backed by trained sales advisors, right? Who who were trained in international best practices with. So one of the things we do at
Yes.
Trustcrow is that if you come to us without experience as a sales advisor, it's great. We train you our way. If you come to us with sales experience, what we do is we we untrain you for a month, right? So we try to train you in our way,
Sanders. Yes.
yeah, and have you kind of forget about what you knew before and train you in our way. So if you had people that were trained in best practices, international kind of standards way, that were the representatives of these properties, and they can take you around, and their sole goal
Hmm.
is not commission focused, but in making sure that one, you had a property that is a viable property. Two, you have a good experience, so that you can come back to us or tell your friends about us. And three, you know, the uncertainty and the lack of clarity within the process was removed because they've spent most of the time informing you rather than the bulk of the time nudging you down this kind of
Hmm.
tunnel, buy. We felt that would be valuable to people. And then,
If I can come in, Mr. Orji, sorry, if I can come in, I think you have went too far telling us about the company without
okay,
even. But
sorry.
nonetheless, I mean, it's a very good information that you have shared so far. I just don't want to. I don't want you to sit down and answer the whole question in
I'm
one
sorry. I'm
in one
sorry. I'm sorry.
sitting.
I'm sorry. I'm
No,
sorry.
he did. It's good. It's flown well because he hit the first two questions on, their mission
Exactly.
and what inspired inspired them. So he's on track. He's on
Exactly.
track. That's why.
He's absolutely on track. But
Yes.
I like us to take it one after the other so that people can
Sorry.
really
Well,
understand, because I know
Mr.
the
Carl, I used to
views.
be a consultant. So
uh,
so people used to pay me by the word. So so you've given me
And you
microphone.
can tell his passion. He's passionate on this.
So you've given
absolutely.
you don't mess up. You've given me microphone, so we're here together. Problem.
No. But you're
Now,
doing fine. So you're doing
Yes,
absolutely
yes.
fine. Like, there's no need of asking you again about, being the founder. How can you share about the company's vision and mission? I mean, you have totally, slaughtered that and gave us a whole lot of, the reason why you started the company, the vision of the company, and, the niche you saw in Nigerian market, starting up Trustcrow, which is very, very important. It's extremely, extremely important tool when it comes to purchasing real estate. We really, really appreciate that. And of course, you have already told us how long you guys have been in the business, how the challenges and the issues that you're going through dealing with, the Nigerian market as well. But what I would like to know is this, looking at these transactions, it's a very large transaction. It involves a lot of people, like you mentioned, the diasporans, the African Americans. How can somebody now say that, to ensure the data integrity, because this is something that has to deal with it has to deal with multi-party transactions. You being the mediator between them and the real estate, or you facilitating the sales of those information. What are the preventive measures that you have for people to trust you, give you their information, and be able to reveal themselves to you and be convinced that we are walking into the safe hand?
sure.
Thank you.
So um I think that to to get you must give. And if you want to talk about transparency, I think that if you want people to trust you, you have to show trust and you have to display trust. So if you meet one of our sales advisors, right? And you meet them, and the first thing they're talking to you about is, okay, here is this information about this property. Here is this information about kind of the land. Here is this information about the developer. Here is information about their track record in the last 4 projects that they've done. Here's this information about what their customers are saying. Here's this information about what 3 bedrooms in Victoria Island are going for, right? And here's information about how you can conduct due diligence, when you're ready. If you meet a Trustcrow sales advisor, and they've started out giving you this information, right? Why would you not be comfortable with now sharing information on your end, right? Sharing information about, what you really want to accomplish with your, with your house hunting, right? What your target price is and where you really want to land at and be comfortable at, right? Why you're buying it. Is it for family when you guys come in December time? Or is it, you come 6 times a month,
It's
six
in
times a year,
December.
and you just yeah, and you just want a place where when you're back home, uh in either America or the UK or wherever, you have a place you can rent out. So why would you not be comfortable divulging what your plans are, so you guys can work as a team to achieve your goals? So frankly, when it comes to transparency, it's an area that we're really, really, really big at, right? So so much so that even when it comes to fees, I know I'm going to shift for a second to even talk about how we relate with our colleagues, because we just launched another uh, product. It's called directtoseller.com. So that product is actually targeted at external realtors here in Nigeria, and we tell them exactly what we're earning on the transaction and how much and how we will share our fees with them. And we're doing it so that it's actually going to be on our website, super transparent, right? So
Awesome. Awesome.
when it comes to data and when it comes to transparency, that is a massive void and gap in Nigeria. It's a big problem.
Huge.
But Pascal Dozier once told me, he said, Joe, every frustration is an opportunity.
Absolutely.
To provide a solution. Yep.
And that's frankly how we started Trustcrow.
Yes.
Yes.
We saw frustrations around title. We built a due diligence product. We saw that people were getting railroaded when it came to like working with real estate professionals,
Yeah.
and agents and finding property. It was just weird and it was just frustrating. We built a marketplace that is backed by brokerage business, right? So it's not just a marketplace where you're on your own to go and find what it is you want to do, but it's a marketplace plus a brokerage business, right? So you have proper advisors. And then when you find a property that you like, when you and your advisor find a property you like, you can then conduct due diligence on the same portal. You don't have to go to a different website. You don't have to go to a different app. So you can conduct it there. So ultimately, what we were trying to do, right, is basically create infrastructure where you can do your real estate transaction. If you think about it, you have your laptop,
Yep.
right? Which your computers, that's where you do your work. Your laptop is your infrastructure for your work, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
But what infrastructure do you have for your property transactions? There are none. So
Exactly.
that's what we're trying to just create infrastructure that people here in Nigeria and in the diaspora can do it. So, and when it comes to who we're focusing on, we're very blatant and unapologetic, and we focus on two target audiences. One, first-time home buyers. Two, diaspora buyers. Why?
Wonderful.
Because those are the most vulnerable groups of people. First-time home buyers,
Absolutely. Yep.
they don't know much about the process. Diaspora buyers, they're far away, and they're just not as knowledgeable, right, as stuff that's going on here. So we feel that they needed the most help. So a lot of our kind of tools and our messaging is targeted around these folks, and we're trying to get out there more, even when it comes to how you can pay for our due diligence product. We've actually integrated with Stripe. So people in the UK who have purchased from us, they just use Stripe to pay. Same with people in the US to make it convenient.
Okay.
And even the escrow, because we had a hard time with folks here domestically with the escrow.
Yes.
The diaspora guys are like, I better go pay. Don't get rid of that. We need the escrow, please. That's what
We
we're please.
need it. Yes.
So,
So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
and
It's
with
a
our
very
escrow,
vital tool. Yeah.
yes.
and with our escrow partners, they have accounts in the US and the UK and different parts of the world. So, listen, if in the event that you had Naira, great, you can pay with Naira if you're buying property. But if you're not trying to be changing $250,000 in Naira, you can just settle in your respective country, and our escrow partners will settle the sellers here in Naira. So we try to create that infrastructure for both our domestic and our diaspora clientele. Yeah, and also
That
focus
is
on
awesome.
Thank you.
transparency.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very
Thank you.
much.
That
Thank you.
actually flowed gently into my next question, which is I know personally, so I can speak firsthand on being a first-time home buyer in America versus in Nigeria is two totally different things. So, for people that think that, oh yeah, well, bought houses here in the U.S., no, it's a totally different system. And I did not have a company like Trustcrow to walk me through that process. And it was a very painful process. They say, oh, it's going to be done in 18 months. 18 months came, study, 36 months, 50 months. I mean, then I had to get a guy at the top to come in and talk to them, had to
Yeah,
get the embassy involved. It was a mess. And then so I was like, okay, if I didn't use my own connections, I wouldn't have ended up at a successful end. Trust me, it would have
yeah,
still been dragging to today. So this company is extremely vital. My mom also had issues of land grabbing, of land issues. So many of our elderly people that came to the diaspora, but now want to go back home and even try to buy new property. who do they go to first? Family be the first one to mess you up,
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah,
and so what you're doing is extremely, extremely vital. So I want you to talk about some of like your big wins, your success story. Because a lot of our people here in the diaspora, both the Nigerians, African Americans, they're like, okay, we want to know, you know, about the process of who, has taken advantage of your product from
yeah,
start to finish, how smooth you were able to ensure that everything came out successful. Over to you.
yeah. So I'm going to go actually to the early part of your question where you talked about your experience purchasing from a developer. So I'm not sure if I actually stressed it or if I was clear about it. So I was a developer for a very long time,
Yes.
right? So I developed some stuff in the US, but a lot of my development career was here in Nigeria, right? And I've dealt with developing Nigeria, which is very difficult, dealing with artisans and dealing with people they don't have a high skill level, dealing with state governments. They
I can
they
imagine the
always come
challenges.
they always come to sites and they're ready for you. Um, Dealing with FX fluctuations.
Yes.
You know,
Yep.
like you start your project at 360, you end your project at 720. It's not a joke.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, you're charging Naira. So I've dealt with those things. Now, when we dealt with it, we said, at Trustcrow, we characterize developers, sellers into two different categories. We say they're human beings and they're criminals. So we try to deal with the human beings. The reason I call them human beings, like stuff happens, right? Stuff happens. Like Nigeria happens to FX goes,
Absolutely.
wow,
Yes.
supplier promises you today, the guy doesn't come next week,
Yes.
or you use your money to pay your children's school fees. His children's school fees. Stuff happens. But as a seller, you have a customer on the end, so you have to do your best. You have to sell out. So when I was selling, we sold out, and sometimes we took losses, deliberately took losses because we're trying to look at the big picture, give the customer a good experience, and it will come back to you manifold. So those are the kind of guys who we like to deal with, and we do our investigations to try to have those guys on our platform. Frankly, sometimes we have had the non-human beings on the platform, and in our course of investigations, people have told us certain things, and we have yanked their portfolio off of our platform because it's important for our buyers, both domestically and in the diaspora, to have good experiences. And so much so that, because I go to a lot of conferences in diaspora,
Mhm.
um, uh, different organizations, ANPA and different kind of diaspora organizations, and some of them tell me, "Hey, listen, are you still developing? We just want someone we can trust."
Mhm.
So at some point, Trustcrow will kind of create um, schemes in which we can partner with small groups of people in different organizations where they can come together as a group. I've spoken to some of the doctors at AMPA about it, and maybe six guys come together as a group and say, okay, where do you want to live? Right?
Mhm.
Where do you want to live? Right? And we can help purchase a site. What kind of building do you want? What kind of real estate do you want? Right? We can help them. We can help design it. And a lot of the stuff that I did here, it just reminded me of I just tried to replicate the cool buildings I lived in DC and in Maryland, stuff like that, right? So we can try to basically put together something that reminds folks of back home, like right where they come from, whether it's Atlanta or the East Coast or what have you, right? So that's something that we've been talking about. Now, um, when it comes to the big wins, um, so for me, I'll talk to you about a couple use cases that we've had. Um, some of them are some of them are good stories, some of them not so good stories, but at least we at least help people. We help people
Mhm.
give them. So one guy comes to mind. Um, so I met his friend at a wedding. He came from the UK and found out what I did. He's like, yeah, my friend wanted to find out some information about his property. So his friend actually was not a buyer of property in Nigeria. His friend in the UK was actually an owner of property in Nigeria. The friend had bought a property, but I think that when he heard what we did, I think he was like, I didn't do those things when I bought. So I want to find out
Didn't go
what's
through that process, right?
so we did a search for him.
Okay.
Um, and so we have two tiers. We have the basic tier of due diligence. It's a title search report, right?
Okay.
You have that, and then we have complete due diligence. You're a doctor, the white gloves, go all in. You know what I mean? Go all
Yes,
in.
yes,
So
yes.
Absolutely.
he did due diligence, complete due diligence. So which includes a representative going to the site, whether it's I think it's a
Yep.
surveyor going to, and we created a report and sent it to him. Unfortunately, somebody had started building on part of his site,
Oh,
right?
wow.
So that's the negative, right? But the positive
Yes.
is that based on that, right, they were able to, quickly fence the site and demarcate it so he can save the balance of the site, right?
Yes.
So for me, that's something that's actually very, very important.
That's a huge
Um,
success.
That's a big win. That's a
That's
huge,
a
huge win.
huge,
Absolutely.
that's a huge one.
It shows that what Trustcrow is doing is actually working because
yeah,
had it been you haven't done that, the guy would have been in UK thinking he
It
owns
would have been a
property,
situation like my mom.
when
Half of
he
the
comes
land
back, he will
gone.
be seeing a new building there. Yeah, that's
correct.
a
Yeah.
huge win. Absolutely.
Yeah, that doesn't belong to you.
That doesn't
Yeah.
belong to you.
On
You'll be
your
Yeah.
land.
wondering on your line
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
what
Yeah,
point did he start? Yeah.
yeah.
And he's
Now,
already settled and bribed people, the money less. So yeah,
exactly.
that's a huge,
Yeah.
huge lesson, you all that's tuning in.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'll talk to you about two other things that are key things that we're working on.
Mhm,
So you can't have real estate without money, right? Without finance.
mhm,
So we are working with some banks who are in the following situation, right? They have diaspora desks and they have diaspora clients, and
mhm,
these diaspora clients want to buy property, right, here in Nigeria. But these banks do not have a supply of property, excuse me, right? But they have demand of clients who want, but no supply. We have supply and are looking for people who demand these properties. So I came to some of these banks and speaking with them about how we can work to make our supply available for them in a
mhm,
customizable way, right? Where um, when they get a customer that says that they want property, because oftentimes what happens is that they don't know where that customer goes.
mhm,
But what we're speaking to them about is that if you can keep that customer within your ecosystem, right, to be able to supply pre-vetted properties to them, but also more importantly, to be able to supply your core financial products to them, including diaspora mortgages and so on and so forth, and perhaps even commercial loans to maybe buy things like appliances and furniture, and also to be able to sell insurance products and so on and so forth, keeping all that within your ecosystem. So that's one thing we're currently working on with banks that have diaspora desks,
mhm,
right? Because so they don't lose that customer. They don't because if you don't have a product that can satisfy that customer, you might lose that customer. But they're
mhm.
not
Absolutely. Yep.
they're not going to now build a real estate like
Right.
market desk. They're going to do that. So what we've been talking to them is about collaborating, like that kind,
Partnerships. Yeah.
yeah, how that collaboration can solve both of our respective challenges. So for us, that's a big one. Working with banks, big banks in Nigeria is not these are big banks, so it's going to take
It,
some time.
yes.
But
It's
but
not
we
easy.
Absolutely.
yeah, but we
Absolutely.
found a couple that are actually very gung ho. Frankly, I've been very, 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 very impressed with their appetite for real estate. So
Okay.
that for us is a key one. Now, the second one that we're working on, also very, very excited about, is your sister organization,
Yes.
working with, again, similar kind of challenge, right?
Yes.
So we're working with uh, NEEDCOM, Nigerian
Okay.
Diaspora Commission,
Yes.
and people contact them all the time. Say, listen, we want to buy, we don't know who to trust.
Yeah.
You guys are our interface, right? Connecting kind of the Nigerian diaspora to Nigeria. As far as facilitating investments in a safe way. Now, NICOM, obviously, they want to do right by these folks, and obviously have these folks have a good experience so they can invest more. But the same challenge, they don't have the supply, but they have the demand. We have the supply, we're looking for the demand. So we're
Absolutely.
also developing a product in which folks who come to NICOM can have a portal in which they can search for these properties and also have a team that backs these properties. They can help guide them throughout the process. And three, also that due diligence piece, right? They can conduct a due diligence. They can conduct due diligence on that portal. And also finally, depending on what they want to do, they can also use kind of an escrow product to hold funds, right? While the developer develops, right? Or if the developer, if it's a finished product, you can pay. So we are certainly trying to collaborate with organizations that have different strengths and challenges that are different from ours, and also be able to reach kind of our brothers and sisters in the diaspora, using kind of different creative ways. So that's what we're trying to do. Yeah.
Well,
Wow,
great.
that is amazing. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Doctor. Yeah, go ahead.
No. We're both excited. This is, once again, I can speak personally on the pains of this. You talked about two use cases. I would like to also recommend another use case that I was a part of, and we had a horrible experience. But it was a learning. You know, I always tell people every experience is a lesson, and thank God it can bring innovators like you to create solutions to the Wahala. Hell, you know, this is also going to be streamed on Wilderness Wahala. So the use
Absolutely.
case that I want to talk about, and it still has not been solved to today, Joseph. A lot of people, you talk about a lot of like public, private partnerships, but a lot of times people forget the public partnerships. So me being, a diplomat, I would like to speak on that and just opportunities maybe for you to reach out and if you need any help with that. So I'll speak at least from the US side. So for example, when I was serving in Nigeria for over 10 years, so I started off with the US government there, a company similar to yours, not as good as yours. So let me just say a company approached the US embassy. They have what we call, so of course you have the diplomats that come from the US that work, but you have the majority of the people that serve at the embassy are what we call FSNs, Foreign Service National, or LES, locally employed staff, and they have a union, you understand? So me being Nigerian American, I was part of course, the diplomatic corps, but I also, I'm related with our Foreign Service National. A company approached and say, okay, a lot of you, work here. We want to come up with estates or housing product for you. And we were so excited. A lot of us tuned into this plan. They said, oh, it's going to take, I think 24 months. 24 months came, story. And eventually it was so bad. We had to get lawyers. We had to get the ministry, use our governmental connections, get the Ministry of
Dr. Tommy,
Land.
you're always getting people. I see you have people. You're always getting people.
We had, Nigeria, if you don't know people, you know the process. And that's
Doctor,
where that's why I'm getting to my connection and why you're so successful. Is because you know how to connect the dots. You worked, you said,
Exactly.
with an agency for how many years? You came there, you studied the terrain, you made
Yes.
connections with banks and all of that. Those are untapped. I'm telling you, till now. So we were able to eventually get our money back. We didn't get it back with interest because that's what I was telling them. I'm like, y'all held it for how many years? Y'all done, traded with my money, but it's all good. At least we were able to get it. And as you said, the Naira depreciation at that time, it was probably like, I think $1 to like 110 Naira. By the time we got our money back, it was, almost like 1,000 Naira. So I'm like, this is chicken change compared to what I invested at that time. So I think those are opportunity. You are solving a huge issue. And I just love the name.
Absolutely.
It says Trustcrow. Of course, he said the
Yeah.
escrow part, but the most important part of your name is trust. Wallahi
Yeah.
talai. Nidcom, they, as you said, they're limited on their portfolio. But one of the things that I've studied, even in Israel, and why they're so successful with their diaspora investing back at home, is because they actually even have a Ministry of Diaspora Affairs. So
Yeah.
my prayer for you is to even get connected at that higher level, at that federal, state, and local level. We should have a Ministry of Diaspora Affairs. They should be able to say, when somebody contacts not just NITCOM, but the government, and then they will connect you and say, okay, he has connection. You have the connections with the Ministry of Land. You have connection with the banking. So if people want to do like a mortgage product, there's
Absolutely.
actually Nigerian mortgage companies that you can partner with. You got all of that. So when I come to you, I know, look, Joseph, me and my crew, we're coming. We want to invest in this property, whether it's in Ikoyi or it's on the mainland in Ikeja, you got us. You know what I'm saying? And even if you don't have that product at that time, you are so transparent. You have the connections where you can get it. Do you understand? And you have the partnership. So I think that is very, very important. You gave us a really good overview. You talked about successful use cases, even some of them that were Wahala, but later on, turned into like the guy that was in UK, and then you
Yep.
now found out that somebody. So
Exactly.
those use cases are extremely important, and I'm telling you, you are going to be solving a lot of people issues. There's a lot of people that want to invest and had, and did not have a good opportunity. And some of them were even hurt by, family and close friends. So
Yeah.
I think with this company, just like it goes by the name, it speaks for itself, Trustcrow. You can
Exactly.
you can speak for it. And you not only have the experience in Nigeria, also back here in the US. So having the best of both worlds. I mean, Nigeria is a giant. It's the giants of Africa. Do you understand? US is the giants in the world. So, I mean, people that are listening and tuning in now, you all, this is answered prayers. I'm talking about me personally, but I think for the entire diaspora, this is like groundbreaking. What you're doing is trailblazing. Like it's never been done. Escrow, you tell what, so what am I going to get back on my investments? But now you're creating that product. So I don't want to undermine it. Once again, I tell people when y'all started off, he is a VVIP guest. He's very, very important. So,
No,
I will round
absolutely.
I will
What
round up by what what are ways that people can contact you, because I'm sure people are like itching now, like, yo, how can we get in contact with
Sure.
Mr. Orji?
Sure. I'll give a couple of ways. The easy
Yes.
one is the website, trustcrow360.com. It's just trust and crow, CROW 360.com. Please send us a mail. We check every day. Trust me, we get back to people. There's obviously our social media like Instagram. I think that's Go Trust Grow. We check those every day. You can email me. My email is Joe at Go Trust Crow, right? Just Joe at Go Trust Crow, all one word.com. Yeah, please, we'd love to hear from you. Mr. Collins, I know you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I
Before
mean, go ahead. Go
yeah,
ahead, Mr. Orji.
I
Yeah.
just wanted to say, please, we would definitely love you guys' help. Because we're a new company, we're trying to actually get out more and trying to promote our kind of services out there more. So I would love to hear from you guys, sometime in this call because what I like to do, I like to actually be on ground. So I like to go back home to the US at different times in the year and actually meet with people. And what I've noticed is that, so the national conversations are good, but what I've also noticed is that those small kind of intimate conversations, small, groups of 10 or whatever, whether it be just a group of friends or a chapter meeting, I found those to
Yes,
also be quite helpful, if I'm honest with you. And maybe that's the
absolutely.
reason why, frankly, that we've connected so much because, um, I've been speaking with you guys at the Savannah, Georgia level, at the chapter level. but also, perhaps at the national level. But we would love to know where we can come over and just speak to folks. I look at it as an opportunity to kind of go back home anyway and kind of see my family and see my friends, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I'd love to understand opportunities where I can where we can meet with small groups of people and just preach the gospel.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, Dr. Tommy just said, if you meet 5 Nigerians, 4 out of 5 will tell you your story about buying a property in Nigeria. I'm being honest with you. You really don't know. Seriously.
Yes.
If you meet 4 out of 5 Nigerians, they have a story behind purchasing a property in Nigeria. And
Yes.
for a company like yours, how you structured it, how you laid it out, how you made it, how you simplify the process is what people are looking for. And for you to be engaging, you're willing to explain, you're willing to talk. You're not like, okay, pay me money, let me go do this, do that. No, the fast Nigerian crazy style of business. Oh, sharp, let's do it this way, that way, that way. No.
Yeah.
But you structure it in a way that is detailed, transparent, and very simplified.
Yeah.
So like I said, 4 out of every 5 Nigerians will tell you the story about purchasing a property. Your company, it's there to solve a need, not a want.
Yeah.
Housing in Africa or in Nigeria is a need. And I can tell you, millions of Nigerians in diaspora want a place they will call home. Not just even diasporans, African Americans are hungry to call someplace home in Nigeria, to call someplace home in Africa. So in as much as we're targeting that market, I want you to also be willing to look into the African American market, because there's a lot of them that are willing. A lot of them haven't seen a company like yours, and they'll be more than willing to sit down with you. You explain it to them, and you will be surprised how many of them will definitely come on board. So we really, really deeply appreciate. And for the issue of the meetings, we will definitely give you a list and schedule of all the meetings that we have coming up.
Okay.
So that way, if you happen to be in the US within that time, we can all invite you to be a speaker or give you some time to be able to discuss. And because the purpose you're serving, it's life-saving. People work so hard, save money, and send to one uncle that show them pictures of what he's developing.
So show them Pepe.
So honestly speaking, it's a life and death situation. And a lot of them, when they come home, in my chapter, I'll give you an example. I won't mention names, but in our chapter, we have an attorney that worked in immigration, a lawyer that worked in immigration for over 30 years, retired, got all her pension and everything, came to Nigeria and was duped by another lawyer because of purchasing a property. Honestly. So you can imagine if she hadn't made that move, if your company, now she knows about it, it would have been seamless and better for her. Now she comes to Nigeria, she stays in the hotel because she doesn't have anything to rely on. Honestly. This is a true life story that I'm telling you. Maybe one day when you come to the chapter meeting and discuss, she will tell you her story.
Yeah. Well, one, I'd love to come to those chapter meetings, and two, we know very good lawyers. So if she or anybody of the people need help with some tough bulldogs who want to go after people who've done them wrong, we can also refer them to those folks. Obviously, we try to keep people out of trouble, but if there are people who who are in trouble, we have bulldogs that we can
have
also.
all those ones. That is a good one. And we do have our upcoming annual general meeting. They're still trying to get to the details. That's going to be end of October, but that's going to be a good meeting for you to come and present. We're going to have all of NIDO Americas, also Canada, and NIDO Brazil, and South America, so all of them, both South, North America, and Canada there. So that one, we would definitely be working. He's part of the board of directors, and I'm also part of the BOT. So we will raise that in our next meeting. They're still trying to finalize, so they don't have an agenda. I think they just said towards end of October. So once they get that finalized, we will make sure that you're one of our VIP speakers. I think that's essential. Also, I'll try to connect you, right after our call today with some of just the diplomatic connections that I have, at least from the US side. But I would say even, all of you say you have a lot of clients in the diaspora, the British, contact the British High Commission. The US, for example, they have an Information Resource Center, IRC, that a lot of people don't know about. And you can actually, book a time there where you can go present. So they can bring, of course, the locally
Absolutely.
employed staff, union members, but then they have, external, Nigerians that are prominent that are also members of the IRC, and then Americans, African Americans. So it'll be a great opportunity to do that. And even at the high level, like, because you've lived in the US and you've lived in Nigeria, even getting the US ambassador involved when you have products. So for example, you talked earlier about success stories and products that you deliver. When you have like grand openings or some type of event, I think you just concluded a good event like that you said that went well for Trustcrow. You can actually invite them. A lot of people don't know. You need to take advantage of the best of both worlds. You understand?
Absolutely.
Because
Thank you for
the
Absolutely.
that.
US is
Thank you
there,
for that.
and once you have that, you can also hit up other commissions, the Canadian, High Commission, the UK one, the Japanese one, all of them. Like, because there's Nigerians that work and diplomats that work in all of them, and they're having the same issue. And I believe, as you know, in every use case, word of mouth
Yeah,
advertisement. People can pay
right.
for ads on social media, marketing. We are doing our best with Nido Radio, Wellness Wahala podcast. But the best
Exactly.
thing is success stories, word of mouth. Like, yo, I just met Mr. Orji. That's Wahala house issue. If you need to
Yeah,
invest, he got you. So
Absolutely.
thank
yeah.
you,
Absolutely.
thank you, thank
And
you.
we're,
Thank you.
for a
Thank you
couple
very,
things.
very
One,
much.
and
Yeah.
we're 4th of July is coming up, very soon.
Yes.
And I was invited to the Consulate General, U.S.
That's
Consulate
a
General.
big event.
They're having something in a couple of
Yes.
days actually, so I'll be there. So I
Yes.
look.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And also, yeah, you mentioned word of mouth. So you're
Yes.
100% correct. There's no better marketing than word of mouth marketing. We're trying to come out with a product in a couple months because we appreciate referrals, but we don't want to just tell people we appreciate referrals. We want to put our money where our mouth is. So we're trying to come out with a referral product that actually um, um, as we say here in Nigeria, appreciates people and for
Appreciation.
referring us and
Yes.
yeah and actually compensates people for that. So it's something that we're working on because I want to actually put my money where my mouth is, if I'm honest with you, and I want to tell people thank you. So I actually look forward to that and kind of giving back to the people who help us out. So that's something we're going to have coming out soon later this year.
Thank you
Absolutely.
for that. And this
Thank
is an
you very, very
ongoing
much.
partnership. Once again, this is not just one off. We will continue to engage with you throughout this year, throughout all of our events. We will continue to promote the good work that you're doing and the success stories and building stronger partnerships, especially here in the diaspora. And we just thank you, for sharing your success story. I believe this is going to lead to bigger and better opportunities for a lot of us Nigerians and also African Americans that want to invest back in Nigeria and go through a very seamless process. So I would
Absolutely.
say
Absolutely.
just
It's
thank you, Mr. Collins. Over to you, and then we'll let him say his last words to
Thank you
conclude.
very much. I cannot thank you more than enough, Mr. Orji and your company, Trustcrow and 360, what you guys are doing. Fantastic job. Keep it up. We'll keep on pushing the message. We'll keep on delivering. And I strongly can see that a lot of people will definitely sleep, when they really put their business in your hands and not be, and not be on the telephone call to make sure, please go and get me pictures and let me see what is going on.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
thank you very
Yeah.
much. We really appreciate this
Yeah.
opportunity and partnership as well.
My absolute pleasure. It's funny enough. We actually had a skit. It's called Uncle Peter. I think because
Uncle Peter.
Uncle Peter is meant to represent everybody's uncle,
Yeah, yes.
who's here, who you trust. and
Wahala uncle.
my other uncle, and he's building his own house on your head. But yeah, we know that, so we're trying to get rid of all those Uncle Peter stories. But in all honesty, I feel it's a godsend that I met you guys, and I really appreciate our conversations online and offline. I've actually learned a lot from you guys, frankly. Dr. Tommy, I think one of the big things I learned from you was actually the diaspora voting, the
Yes.
diaspora voting bill, and kind of doing that, being able to vote back home. And if I'm honest with you, that when I was living in Nigeria, that would have been something that would be fantastic. So it's like you stay
Yes.
connected to the homeland, even though
Politically, yes. If you can help
Exactly.
us with that, solve that, I mean, jackpot.
yeah.
Exactly.
But honestly, it was really I feel really blessed and fortunate to know you guys and have you guys as friends and to be able to kind of lean on you guys for just whenever I have a question, I call you guys and you guys are always great. So I appreciate you guys also teaching me and educating me. And we look forward to reciprocating that. And frankly, I look forward to seeing you guys in October and hopefully even before that. So I really look forward to that.
Absolutely.
And I think Diaspora Week is next month. I'm not
Yep,
sure if
it's
you
next month. Africa Diaspora Day. Yes,
are
yes.
you guys doing anything?
We're not doing anything, but we usually do around that time like charity. So a big thing about us is giving back. So I wanted to say even with the partnership that we have, a percentage of it goes to we support a homeless shelter in Savannah. We also have partnerships with organization in Nigeria, Resilient Aid development agency that supports a lot of like internally displaced in Kaduna. And then we also have a partnership with Linkway, I believe in Lagos, and I think they're in Ogun State. And
Yeah,
we've
I'm
provided like
Benue.
in Benway, and we've provided
Scholarships, yeah.
scholarships to
Oh,
use back
nice.
at home and
Yeah.
also use here. So in the state of Georgia, at SCAD University, for example. So in all that we do, we try to say, like all the products and services that you have, we take percentage of even any of our ads that we do to make sure that we give back because of course there's a lot of people that still need our help and we're a nonprofit organization. So
Awesome.
but thank you
Thank
for
you very much.
all the
Awesome.
great
Thank you.
great work that you're doing, and this is going to be ongoing discussions. We will continue
Absolutely.
to engage you when we have our meetings, and we want to hear more success stories
Awesome.
from the partnership. So
Awesome.
thank you.
Thank you very much and
Big
have a
plans ahead
wonderful.
for Trustcrow and Nido. So I definitely look forward to working with you guys. We've talked about different things, and I look forward to working on those things and having those things come to fruition.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Thank you very much and have a wonderful, wonderful
Thank you,
time.
sir.
Wonderful
Thank
living.
you.
Good, good.
Yes.
Colin,
All
Dr.
right. Have a
Tommy,
good
Thank you.
have a
one.
great
Thank
rest of
you.
your day.
All
God
right.
bless
You too.
you.
God bless. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Awesome.